friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my April updates video, which I'm super excited about. It has been ages since I've done one. I think the last one was my coming back from holiday updates in the end of February. So a lot has happened in the last month and a half, and I feel like things are properly starting to spring into action. So I can't wait to show you all of the great things that are going on there and any bad things along the way as well. So yeah, before we get into it, I just want to say, if you are new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not new here, thanks for coming back. I hope you enjoy these updates as well. Let's get into it. I think I'm gonna start in the bedroom. Things have been growing fairly well in here. This is definitely not the brightest spot in my home. I feel like things back there don't get that much light, and I very rarely turn that grow light on nowadays. I just forget, and it's not a priority for me, so I just don't really do it. But I'm really liking how those three plants are trailing down, because they all look so different and their texture is so different, but they are all kind of at the same length, which I quite like. And it brings the jungle down a little bit towards the bed, which is good. My other strings over here, I mean, this string of spades is looking very, very sparse. At this point I should probably chop and prop it because it's just so awkward, but I mean, I guess it's fine. And again, these things are just doing okay. My monstera standaleyana, look at the growth coming in there. There's this one has 2 growth points coming up, so one there and one there. And then the other one has one there, and I'm just so excited to see how this continues growing and eventually get the props in here. I don't think they've rooted yet, but I would love to fill in that gap at the bottom, because I think it would look slightly nicer. But overall, it's a very happy thing, and I don't know, maybe I'm gonna have to extend the moss pole soon. I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of extending of things to do. Speaking of, my Raphidophore tetrasperma is just all the way climbing the ceiling at this point. I really need to kind of sort out this corner and figure out what I want to do long term, whether or not I want to extend this moss pole or just let it crawl on the walls. I feel like I'm okay with that. That might be where this is going. Or I could just chop it back and just keep it at the top of the pole height and just keep chopping and propping. I don't know. I don't know. I'm really not sure, but I am really happy with it, and I think it looks gorgeous, and I really like how much it fills in that space, because it would look quite empty there without it. So very glad that it's there and doing so well. My cacti and succulent corner actually has a new addition. So I got this euphorbia in, I don't know, February, March time, and I just really wanted to try out a euphorbia and see if I can get it to grow well for me. I have yet to put it into semi-hydro. It's still in soil, but it is in my plan to eventually do that. But again, just being slightly lazy. Otherwise, things are fine here. I don't really see much growth on these things except for the little pickle plant. There's definitely some new growth on that, and it's doing quite well. Whereas things like this succulent, I think I'm probably going to end up getting rid of that echeveria at some point, just because it's obviously not working out. So I don't know. Everything else is doing pretty averagely. Nothing, I haven't noticed any new growth in anything else. So I think it's one of those things where they're going to take time, and I'll notice it if I'm going back and looking at old pictures, but I'm not going to notice it as it happens like I do with a lot of other plants in my collection. I've also put my hoya in my desk space here because I am just so thrilled about it. If you haven't seen any of my past few videos or any of the short form content or any of the posts I post on Instagram, my Hoya Croniana Splash is blooming, and it is actually the first Hoya that I've ever gotten to bloom. It had another one here area, but those ones all fell off. This was the one that I ended up doing the time lapse of. I'll put it in here because I'm so proud of that time lapse. And it's got a couple more there, but it's also got more peduncles throughout, which I think means it's gonna bloom more often coming forward, but we will see. I'm just really happy that it's bloomed. None of my other ones have, but this just like thrills me so much, and I put it right by my desk, which I'll sort that out later. I'm not sure what I'm doing with that, but I put it by my desk so I can smell it all the time. That is a mini greenhouse I got from IKEA. They had like 26 or something crazy in London, and I was able to get my hands on one, and it's just a little cute greenhouse, but I don't know where I'm gonna put it yet. Any ideas are welcome. I can show you where I have my other one, which is exciting, I know. But this one won't live here forever. It's just kind of for now. I want to put it somewhere, in theory, where like the plants would otherwise be affected by Cleo and aren't, but I'm just not sure exactly where I'm gonna put it yet, so it's fine. The other one I have is over here, so this is a slightly bigger one, and I've just kind of put random plants in it for now. I say random, like alocasias, some scindapsus, philodendron, syngoniums, things in pon. And I put that here because Cleo used to like try and jump on here, and I was always really scared she was gonna like mess up my gloriosum. And so I thought putting this here would be great, because then I wouldn't have to worry about my gloriosum dying every time she decided to have zoomies and jump up on here. But the problem now is that she can jump up on here and then put her paws on this and then try and like knock stuff off here, play with these and this, and it is less ideal than I thought it would be, and I'm not really sure how to stop that problem, but I mean, I think it looks really nice here. And it gets grow light when the grow light is on. It's just not on at the minute, so I don't think these are the final things that are going to be in here, but they're what I've got in here for now, and I think they're happy enough for it. It does kind of need some sort of sealing. Like you can see there is gapping in there, so it doesn't hold tons and tons of humidity, but I think I might weather seal it, so we will see. I will take you along with me if I end up doing something like that, and give like a proper tour maybe, if that's something you want as well. Overall, I think they're really cool, and hopefully they get more in the UK soon, and more of you can have things like this, because I think it is a really cool little cabinet, and it's super cute in my home. Above them on the shelves, I mean, these things are doing pretty averagely, nothing that exciting here. I put my Hoya clemensiorum here, which they look dead, I know. I don't think they are. I think they're just sun stressed. Like, they don't feel dead. But this one is in soil because it had roots on it, whereas these two I've got in water to try and get them to start rooting, and they just aren't yet. So we will see what happens with them, whether or not I get them to root. I will keep y'all updated, but for now they're just as is like that. And then probably the last exciting thing going on over here is my little ZZ Raven put out like literally the tiniest new growth, but it is so freaking adorable watching it go dark from the lime green. I think there's another shoot in there, but otherwise it is being quite slow. I'm hoping that it picks up more in growing season, because it is getting grow light, so I think it'll like that a lot. It's just taking its slow time. They're not the fastest of plants, and I would love if it could fill out a little bit more, because it has gotten a bit like, but overall it's a really pretty plant, so I can't be mad at it. I feel like I've noticed a lot of things popping off here as well in the office. One of the first ones I saw was that my variegated aspidistra, a cast iron plant, is putting out like 4 new leaves. There's like 1, 2, 3, and then 4 down here, which is super duper exciting. I'm very curious to see if any of these are variegated as well. I mean, it's not the highest variegation plant. You can only see a little bit throughout the whole thing. There's not tons, but it would be really cool if I could get some more variegation on it. So I have my fingers crossed, but I'm not holding my breath about it. My Mitchelletiana, it honestly hasn't done anything since I chopped off that middle section, so I do kind of want to put the other one back. I've kind of been procrastinating doing it because I wanted to do it in a video, and just not had the space to film the video yet, so I'm just leaving it for now. But I do want to put the other one back at some point because I think it would fill it out a little bit better. But yeah, it's just not really doing anything otherwise. I don't know if I need to fertilize more or what, but yeah, I mean, it's fine. I don't think it looks bad. It's just a bit sparse, which is a bit unfortunate. My banana plant is growing like crazy as usual. It's had, I feel like, several new leaves recently, including this one here, and its babies. Oh my goodness. Look at that new leaf on the baby down there. It's like a proper big one, which is super exciting. I feel like it's gonna need separated. I said that really weird. I feel like it's gonna need separated soon because it's just so, it's getting so close to being blocked by all of this top stuff. So yeah, I don't know, but I probably will do that again at some point as well. This little corner, I think, is new-ish. I used to have plants that had spider mites here, but I cleared those of the spider mites and I've rearranged and put new things here. So my big crystallinum is there. I've got a prop thing full of like loads of different stuff. My sarcophylla, mame, my cream splash philodendron, fantasy, and then my epipremnum pinnatum variegated. I think things are liking it here. I've also put my grow light, my big Sansi one, this bulb, when I remember to turn it on, which is most days, I have that going on there because, as you can see, even though it's by a window, it's kind of like dark anyways, so I try and put that on so these things get more light, which I think they appreciate. The mame is putting out a new leaf, and it is officially at the end of the trough, so I'm gonna need to figure something else out for that because I don't know. Maybe I could chop and prop it. I'm not too sure. Haven't really decided yet, but I guess that's probably the best option. Maybe I could chop and prop it and then have like one going from each end, or would that look weird? Let me know what you think, if it would be weird or not. I think my sarcophylla is doing pretty well. It looks like it's putting out some new growth there, which is, again, super exciting. I hope that the leaves stay as big and beautiful as these because they're absolutely stunning, and it's such a fun plant that I'd be sad if I wasn't able to keep it happy. Though I think I will because it's got like very succulent-y, thick leaves, and I feel like I have the capabilities to keep it happy. I've got my fingers really, really crossed for this one, and I will keep y'all updated with this. Maybe that's a flower? I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see what happens, but I'll keep you updated probably on Instagram stories if anything spectacular happens. My shelves are chaotic as normal. They're just very busy, busy, busy. But again, I've got some, for the most part, good things happening here. My Discoria discolor, oh my goodness, the other day, I'll insert a picture because it was freaking cute. It had a runner that was climbing onto this scindapsus tendril. So I wrapped it around the side here in hopes that it will climb up that instead. But it is putting out some new growth, which is good. I don't know if this is like too thick of a pole for it to climb. I feel like it might be, but I mean, it would be cool if it would climb that. My green Maranta at the back there is doing phenomenally. It has put out so much new growth, and I'm really loving the like purpliness of these spots. They're just so dark and create such a lovely contrast. That is really nice to see. Unfortunately, my UPI is looking very, very sad. I don't know why it's looking so sad, but it's just not happy. Like this new leaf I've just pulled off. Great. That's wonderful. It's not a happy camper right now. I thought it might have thrips, but I haven't seen any on it, so I'm not sure. But I don't know. I don't know. I potted up my Cissus discolor into Pawn. So it's the first time I'm trying them in semi-hydro. I think it's philodendron semi-hydro, not lechuza pons, sorry about that. But it's my first time trying them in semi-hydro, which I think they'll like, and I hope they do, because they just really can't tolerate being underwatered. So having them in something like this is ideal. I actually potted this up in a live chat repot and chat thing I did with my patrons, which was so much fun. So if that's something you're interested in doing, I will link my Patreon down below, because it's fun. Why not? Come hang out with me. I potted up several things in that video. I feel like I potted up this little Hoya as well, and the Kerala hybrid, I think. So getting things nice and potted and ready for spring, I think, is important. Oh, also the purple passion in there. My peperomia ice frost, I still can't tell if I'm keeping it happy or not. Like, it's just, like, none of the leaves look particularly happy, but they're, oh, I just ripped that one, whoops. But like, they don't look unhappy either. And I feel like I'm just letting it get too dry. Is it too dense in there? Do I need to repot it? I'm still figuring it out. I have heard some advice from a peperomia lover, one of you all, who sent me an email with a bunch of peperomia advice, which was so useful. So I think they said that they use terracotta for their peperomias. So maybe I will get a terracotta pot for this one and try it out in that. I actually never use terracotta pots. It's not really my thing, but I figured I can give it a try. And if it works on these, then maybe terracotta is the answer for me with peperomias. But I don't know. I just don't know. There's not much really going on of note, I don't think, on this shelf, except maybe that my variegated heartleaf just put out some new leaves, which are really cute. Look at them. There's one that, like, there's two there, which is exciting because this one had 2 growth points. So hopefully I will get it growing nice and nicely. That's not the right way to say that, but that's how I feel. Hopefully I get it growing nicely and it starts growing. It looks like they're quite variegated. Like, they're quite light, which excites me because I think that means they're happy and thriving. And then at the top, that new leaf that was coming in on my monstera in my favorites video, look, it's fenestrated. I don't think it's variegated, but I'm gonna wait to see once the leaf hardens off a little bit more. It's only just opened up, so it might have a chunk there. It's really hard to tell from this angle, and I'm not gonna take it down because it's a heavy pot, but I'm hoping that it does have some sort of variegation, because it would be cool to have like a huge, big variegated monstera like this one. Like, pff, this leaf, man, is just perfect. I know I said I was gonna pot this up, but I have yet to pot it up. It's still just chilling in the jar, the Mitralitiana. I will do it soon. I'm procrastinating on it, which I know I shouldn't, but I think it'd be fine because it's gonna go in semi-hydro anyway, so these roots will be perfectly happy. Behind it, the Ficus shaveriana, I actually lost several leaves from this one recently. You can see that stem is very bare there. I think I just massively underwatered it, unfortunately, which is really my bad, but like, it happens to the best of us. I think it is still growing well in there, but I want to make sure that I'm keeping it happy, so I'm trying to be a bit more on top of watering this one and making sure that it doesn't get too dry. Oh, I've got this terrible yellow leaf in here. This is the Epipremnum kujang, the original one that like had roots on it, that's climbing up this pole. And it's got more growth up here, which is exciting, but this isn't like the kujang growth that we really want. I would love for it to be, 1, variegated, and 2, splitty. So, I don't know, I'm kind of tempted to just give this plant away as well. Which isn't great, but it might just need to be what happens with it. Things are definitely not the happiest in the Rudsta at the minute. I've kind of been ignoring it, so that's why, but let me show you what's going on. Up top here, we just have some very dry things, like the Polyneura new growth isn't the happiest. Oh my gosh, my new guinea ghost, it is very sad. I think I haven't been watering it enough. It's just dropping leaves like crazy. These, oh, Oh, it is so not okay. I think it's just way too dry at the minute. Like, it looks really dry. I have been trying to water it more frequently, but it's just not, it's not a happy camper right now, which I'm really mad at myself for. And what's this? Is this the serpents as well? Very healthy looking. Or not. It's fine. The jungle cactus in here are looking pretty good. The zigzag fishbone, as well as the lepismium head of hair cactus, doing well, as well as my cuttings of the curtisii, even though they're super sun stressed. But I kind of think that the Arcadia Jungle Dawnlight is a little bit too bright and hot, or at least too bright, because I think it's just a bit too much. Because even my white princess, you can see it's complaining there in the leaves. Like, there's definitely some sunburn on them. They're very, very, like, pale. So I might need to figure out something to cover that. Maybe just diffuse it a little bit, because I think it might be a little bit too much, unfortunately. I mean, there is some good growth going on down here though. My El Choco Red just put out this new leaf, which is beautiful. I think I have been doing quite a good job of keeping this pole moist as well. The Grow Thickly pole that my Ernestii is on, hey Cleo, isn't doing as well. It's not staying as wet as my normal ones. It's harder because I don't have a cup on here, which I think I might be able to fit a cup in it. I just haven't done it. I do have a cup on this one back here, but I need to rehydrate this one fully before I get into it. The White Princess is doing fine otherwise, like, it's growing new growth, so it's perfectly happy. It's just a little bit sun stressed, I think. So things are growing well as well, like my snake scale, scindapsus. I think it's starting to, like, shingle a little bit more. Not as much as I would necessarily want, but I've just been absolutely ignoring it and not, like, keeping the moss wet or anything, unfortunately. But it seems to be fine. So I don't know. Also, I'm not feeling my pink princess, like, at all. Like, I'm kind of over it. Like, after I cut it, I cared even less. Before I cut it, I didn't care at all, but even now, I'm just like, I don't really care if it comes back or not. So maybe that's a sign that it needs to move on to something else. Also, I need to remove this dead growth from the regal, and probably this one as well. Not the regal, the regal shield, which is here, and I think, again, it's just getting bleached by the light. So I think the main story here is that I need to do something about the Jungle Dawnlight. I think it's just a little bit too bright. It's fine for Hoyas if you're going to keep them super moist, or if they're in semi-hydro or something, self-watering, that would be fine, but I think it's just a bit too intense for the things in here as it is. So maybe I'll find some way to diffuse it or something, but I'm not sure. I'll have to keep y'all updated on it, because it's just, I think it's just that little bit too bright. And then this here is my table of things that are going away slash not doing well. This Ring of Fire, you can tell it is very, very sad. It got thrips and I didn't notice for quite a while, and so it lost almost all of its leaves, including the new growth that was in there. Yeah, I think I've treated it for the thrips now and it doesn't have any more, but I'm not risking putting it back with my normal collection. I mean, I probably shouldn't put it so close to these things, but I only have so much quarantine space in my home. I'm hoping that I can get it back to life, because I do really like this plant, but it's looking really unhappy right now, which is sad to me. And then finally, we've got the living room. The first thing I want to show you in here is something that is really exciting. My philodendron melilone. One, it's popping out a new leaf, but two, I'm pretty sure this light green thing that's red at the bottom is a flower. It's freaking flowering. And not that I have anything I could pollinate it with, but I'm just so excited to, like, see what happens with it, because I've never had a philodendron flower. I know it's not a super common thing, and so it, like, really, really excites me that mine is doing something like that. I guess this is a fairly mature plant. Like, it is very large, but it is just so exciting that something so cool is happening, and I will definitely keep y'all updated with that because it's just so, like, crazy and fun. The first leaf on my glorious has popped out. I'm pretty sure this actually unfurled today. It was rolled up yesterday. And considering it's like the first leaf from a new growth point, I'd say it's a decent size. It's definitely not the same size as the ones before, but it is better than nothing size-wise. I feel like if this is the first one, the next one will be bigger and bigger and bigger, and hopefully I'll get back to like this beautiful size because, I mean, this is the goal, really. And my Cebu blue is doing really well again, too. I feel like I fertilized it or something, and then it just started going crazy again and growing so quickly. So that's really good, and it's probably starting to put out some larger leaves. They're not like fenestrating or anything yet. I mean, this one has holes in it because Cleo, but it is doing something and growing a lot more than it had been for like 6 months. It kind of went dormant over winter is what I'm telling myself because it just wasn't doing anything. The Tycon doing nothing. It hasn't put out a new leaf for me in ages and ages. It doesn't even feel like it's gonna put out a new leaf soon. And I know they are just really slow growers, and I'm happy with what it is, but it's going a little bit brown here. I feel like this is probably from mirror contact, so maybe I can just cut it off, but I don't know. It's fine. I love the plant, and I'm definitely never, ever, if I can possibly help it, getting rid of it because it's my Tycon. But it's just, I wish it would do a little bit of something, maybe. Also, my big monstera is here now, which I'm absolutely loving it being here. I really think this plant deserves to be kind of like center of attention. It's in the center of my living room now, and I think it's really thriving. It's right next to a Sansevieria light, which I think it likes as well. It is also pregnant with a new leaf. This literally popped out yesterday as well, and so I'm hoping it is a big one. It looks like it's gonna be a big one from here. The previous leaf was really big and beautiful. Not really much variegation, but I don't mind. I'm not in this plant for the variegation. I think it's cool that it's got like little bits of it, but that's not what I'm here for. I just want those big, beautiful, like multi-split leaves, because that is what I want out of it. I should also note, I don't remember when I spoke about this previously, but the Wendlandii that I put in here and didn't like water prop first, I was just trying to soil prop it, that cutting died. So goodbye. Obviously didn't work well enough. And it's unfortunate, but it's just gonna have to be what it is. I do have one propping in moss that I will put in eventually, but I think I'm doing a much better job at keeping this pole hydrated now that it's in like an easily accessible like spot for me. I can keep kind of all of these poles hydrated at the same time, and they tend to dry out at about the same rate, which makes things like really easy for me because I don't need to worry about like remembering as much, and they do stay pretty damp, which is nice, and I think the plants really love it. And I'm putting fertilizer water in them as well, so them aerial roots better be friggin' happy. You're probably wondering though, maybe, I don't know if anyone realized or knew that I had my ficus Audrey there for a minute, but obviously it's not there anymore. Where the frick has it gone? Well, it has gone over here next to my bird of paradise. Basically, I wanted to put it over here, but this pot that I've got it in, the cash pot, was way too big for that small plant. So I put that in, and then I was like, oh, I should put some other plants in kind of around it, and sort of created this little thing. So they're all in their separate nursery pots, but they are all in the same thing, so it kind of creates like a little bushy thing, and maybe the Raphidophora can decide to grow up that. The Schismatic glottis is here, and then my Ficus Taniki, which I think will like being in the sun a little bit more. This area specifically does get afternoon sunlight, which is quite nice for it, and I'm hoping these plants like it. I know my bird of paradise likes it, but I'm hoping these ones are okay with it. I'm not sure about this one yet, but I can always change this one out if this isn't the right spot for it, go like long term. I do think it looks quite good there though, so I don't know. Another really exciting thing though in this corner is that I've got a new leaf. Look at that. My bird of paradise is putting out new growth, which is super exciting, and it's on the big section as well, so hopefully I get another like beautiful big leaf to fill in like kind of that area. I think that would look amazing and just fill out this corner a little bit more. But overall I'm really happy with just kind of how this looks now and like the vibe of it. It was kind of like lonely before the bird of paradise, and now it's got friends. It's got friends. The other major change is probably to the top of my cabinet here. This is where my gloriosum has ended up because it needed a new spot since I moved it out from my bedroom. I've just got it on top of the IKEA cabinet. I mean, I moved it like yesterday, so I can't really talk about how much it likes it here yet, but I'm hoping it does. It's not a plant that needs the brightest of light, so I'm hoping that it's fine, and it'll get like ambient light throughout the day, which I hope is enough, but we will see. If I need to move it again, I can move it again, but for now it will be here along with like loads of props that are on top of that. And then I guess we can go inside the IKEA cabinets, the Millsbo, last. So this is feeling very, very busy, and that is one of the big reasons why I got those little greenhouse cabinets, so I could put sort of smaller things into them instead of having them packed in here like super tightly. I mean, it's fine, and I do quite like the like overgrown jungle look, but I'm sure that there's definitely some things that aren't getting the best light and stuff in here, which isn't ideal. My dragon scale is of course doing phenomenally. This plant, I don't know how it's just so happy, but it's loving life in semi-hydro. It's got 5 leaves and a new leaf on the way. Like, I seriously cannot complain about this one, and it's just so freaking pretty. Like, those leaves, man. My begonia white ice is actually, I think, doing quite well in here. It hasn't really lost any color or gone floppy, so I think it is happy enough in this spot, which means I will keep it here for a while. Eventually, I hope, it'll outgrow the cabinet and I will need to put it somewhere else, but for now it will just stay here because that's the easiest place for it. Unfortunately, this little pond box I've had, it's not in the best of shape at the minute. The mellow that was in here, obviously not happy, and I think I just haven't kept it. I don't know, I really don't know what's gone wrong with this one. I might need to give it another go separately. It hasn't put out any other new leaves, so I feel like it might just be, in general, not the happiest camper. I mean, my hoyas and jungle cacti are absolutely loving it up here. My Hoya australis lisa has got some new growth. The parasitica, the growth is going all the way to back there. And then my fern leaf, let me zoom in for you. That tiny little point that I talked about in my favorites video is that section there, which is definitely producing some new growth. Sorry, it's difficult to focus on that, but it's definitely producing some new growth, which, oh, it's just, I have such hope for it now, which is exciting. I should probably note as well that I'm pretty sure that I have gotten rid of the thrips in here. I really haven't seen any lately at all, so that is a really good sign. I will give it another like proper thorough check in a week or so, but I think these predatory insects did a good job at the adult population, and I did a good wipe once as well, so I'm hoping that that was good enough, and I'm hoping that the things in here are happy again, because that was so stressful. I mean, my Splendid back there took the brunt of it. You can still see it is not the happiest of campers, but I think it is definitely getting better. It is putting out some new growth, so I'm taking it as a positive sign, though you can definitely see there's damage on quite a lot. I'm gonna lose this leaf, I'm sure, but hopefully it'll be fine now, and I'll be able to just carry on and add it back into my other one. Obviously, this leaf, everyone, I'm sure you've seen it by now. If you follow me in any sort of way, you will have seen this leaf because it is just stunning, and it has finally properly hardened off. It does have like the tiniest bit of damage in there, but I genuinely do not care. I think it is so freaking cool, and beautiful and big and happy that it does not matter to me that it's got that tiny bit of damage. Like, I don't even see it. I just see big, beautiful perfectness. I think maybe my dubia might be doing something. Like, its newest leaf is that tiniest bit bigger than the previous one, and it is looking a lot more flat to the pole. It's also kind of looking super silver in comparison, so I'm hoping that that's a good sign. I think it's happy here, and as long as I'm keeping the pole moist, I think it'll continue to grow up it, which is, I mean, the goal, really, but I don't know. I'm just hoping that it just continues being happy. I also put my majestic on a pole, which I think it will like quite a lot. It was kind of growing crazy, and so I've attached it on there. So hopefully it will root in and get happy and grow up that. I do have a cup on top of it, so I can make sure that it's staying hydrated. But honestly, everything else in here is just chugging along, like nothing that special. I feel like the regal was the main event in the cabinet for so long that everything else, like any bit of new growth, seems a bit like banal in comparison. So that is kind of it. That is everything really that's going on at the minute. I feel like there is quite a lot of things just like popping into action, which is great. Hello Cleo, you're also doing great, aren't you? Yes, you are. Before I sign off, I want to give a big thank you to my new patrons, new members of my Good Growing fam on Patreon. Thank you so much, Persephone Stone, Emily P, and Phil, for joining. I'm so excited to have you there, and I hope you enjoy it as well. If you're interested in joining my Patreon, it is £3 a month, and you get a whole bunch of bonus content. Like I said, I will link it down below. But of course, absolutely no pressure. It just makes my job a little bit easier because I don't have to worry about money quite so much. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, enjoyed my updates. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplantey things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!